The saga of Taylor Lorenz and Libs of TikTok continues. For those that missed the story, Taylor Lorenz, a Washington Post journalist, doxed the creator of the prominent account Libs of TikTok. This account, Libs of TikTok, is critical of the far left and aggregates videos of far leftists that they post publicly online. Taylor Lorenz calls it homophobic, transphobic, anti-LGBTQIA, and many prominent blue-check journalists at corporate institutions defend the idea that you should be allowed to publish the name of someone behind an account and their private home address. Now, of course, the private home address thing was a step over the line. They're now denying it ever happened. No, what are you talking about? We didn't publish the private home address, but we are not stupid people, and you will not gaslight us because I've got the proof. Now, many of these corporate, lying, evil people, I just got to say, these are evil people. Let me give a special shout out to Matt Binder, who I'd love to have on Timcast IRL, who I think is as evil as they can get. A sophist as sophist comes. Now, look, the story here is that Taylor Lorenz's family has been doxxed. Yeah, I think that's a bad thing. But Taylor Lorenz started doxing people and they retaliated. When you fling feces, feces gets flung back. So we'll read that. Shocked she is that she's being doxxed. I have no sympathy for basically anybody doing the doxing. Libs of TikTok did not dox anybody. I don't like that they're doxing Taylor Lorenz's family. I think that's absurd and wrong. And I don't like that Taylor Lorenz published the private home address of somebody because she doesn't like them for political reasons. But hey, Matt, let me give you a special shout out. You're a sophist. Come on the show. You're welcome to come on IRL. You have a substantially smaller body of work than most leftists, but we're willing to have you on because you're a liar. Matt Binder says no home addresses or phone numbers were shared by any reporter. So weird. I actually DM'd with him. I'd love to see a correction, Matt, because here's the proof. Now, they know that I would have to publish the documents proving the person behind this. I would have to publish their private home address. And they know I can't do that. And they know they can because they're evil people. Let me tell you what evil is. Evil is when Taylor Lorenz links to the real estate license of this individual they've named. And then once the archives pick up the private home address, they then say, they remove the link, issue a public statement saying, we never did that. Remember when Jack Posobiec got punched? And then the leftist walked up and the cops were arresting the guy, and they're like, I didn't see anything. Nobody got hit. Like, we are going to lie and get away with it. Matt Binder, you are a liar. Here is, on the left, we did a paid public record search on the individual they named, confirming the private residence is the same address that Taylor Lorenz linked to in her article. So let me tell you, when you post someone's name, then link right next to their name, you have a hyperlink saying real estate license, and when you click it, it shows their private home address. That is the nuclear bomb of doxing someone. Matt Binder, you are a liar, or at the very least, you are incompetent. Here is the archived article from the Washington Post saying the name of the individual working as a real estate person. And if I were to click that link right now, it would pull up the private home address. Now let's talk about what that is. You see, it says contact address. That's interesting. Why would the contact address for this private individual be anything other than their private home address? Well, below it says employer. I've blocked that information out because I will not be party to your doxing campaign, nor be goaded into doxing someone. It's bad enough. I have to show that we pulled the public records. When you click employer, it links to a company that has the same address. Matt Binder says, well, how could the company have employees the same address? Because Matt is not somebody who's ever started a company, doesn't know what an LLC is or how S-Corps work. I tried explaining this to him that often people who start companies when it's remote work might actually use their home address for their LLC, which is extremely common. More importantly, many buildings, when they're purchased, will use their own address to file an LLC to buy the building itself. But this building is a commercial residential mix, meaning there's 2 apartments on top and a commercial building on the bottom. Now, I don't know if this is currently where the Libs of TikTok creator is. What I do know is public documents confirm it is the private residence of the individual that is available through certain public record searches. Now, of course, Matt can then come out and say, well, the information was public. SPJ Ethics says just because you have access to the information doesn't mean it's ethical to publish it. No one needed to know this person's name or address. Now, should I bother explaining why an LLC would share the address with someone's apartment? That's stupid, and it's not incumbent upon me to do so when I've already got the public records showing this is the case. But how about this? You get a job at a company. Their company is on the first floor of a building. You're like, hey, I need an apartment. And they say, I think the apartment upstairs is for rent. Oh, that's perfect. I mean, not ideal necessarily to live above your work. There's 1,000,001 reasons I could come up with as to why that makes sense. Matt Binder knows this because I talked to him via DM. Matt, you are a liar or you are incompetent. Did you do any research on this? We did. We have a newsroom that pulled it up. Here, once again, where did I just have the, here we go. Once again, this is the archived article, 6 a.m. by Taylor Lorenz, Washington Post. You scroll down and there is the link. You see the little hand? You see the cursor turns into a hand? It's because I could click it and what would come up is what here is on the right, the private home address of this person. So when you want to come out and say no home addresses or phone numbers were shared by any reporter, okay, let's play semantics. Taylor Lorenz shared the link to her private home address. And now Taylor Lorenz is upset that her family is being doxxed. I agree. It is wrong to dox Taylor Lorenz's family. I'm sickened by the entirety of what's going on in the culture war. But this is what it is. Taylor Lorenz's entire effort was political. Let me just show you what she's tweeting. First of all, let me show you this. Taylor says, tech companies are notoriously protective of their corporate brands. Now that TikTok's legal team is aware of Libs of TikTok's attempt at trademarking the business, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Linking to someone from Antifa, who has me blocked, by the way. Interesting to see how it plays out. So you're acknowledging that there's going to be harm done by your article? You expect there to be some kind of harm? Okay. I mean, you can call it accountability, call it whatever you want, but you had a direct impact. Taylor Lorenz said, I had heard the Babylon Bee had recently provided financial backing for Libs of TikTok, but didn't have enough confirmation on the details to nail it down for my story. Seth Dillon, CEO of the Babylon Bee, has now confirmed it. Here is what they see as, quote, heroic work. Please read my full piece to understand the unique influence the account has in right-wing media and ties to the boom in anti-LGBTQ sentiment and legislation. She puts heroic work in quotes. Yes, we get it, Taylor. This is an opinion piece masquerading as news for political purposes. Matthew Iglesias effectively said something similar. You started a war, and now you are shocked that you are facing the brunt of it. Cue the typical fake journalist's response. Now, I had defended Taylor Lorenz in the past, but no more can I defend what she's doing because this is beyond reproach. Taylor, you published the home address of Libs of TikTok's family. You published her private home address, and then you told me you did no such thing. You are wrong. You are wrong. You are wrong. Now, Taylor may believe she has a different address, which may be true. Now, I will tell you this. If she would like to prove that these records are not the current location, by all means. What I can say is public records that we paid for research to dig through records that are not as easily sourced, easily found, but I'm not going to pretend it's hard. And we have on public record, this is the individual's home address. Now, I will say it again. Perhaps the individual has since moved. Libs of TikTok has said they're holed up in a safe location. Perhaps when they realized this was coming, they got out. Maybe. Maybe Taylor Lorenz actually used hacked information because that's actually where she got the information from, hackers. And it's a lot of it's public. That's true. I'm saying she got it from activists and hacktivists. Perhaps she has reason to believe that this person lives somewhere else. Did she go to the home of Libs of TikTok? Taylor, you can answer these questions. When I asked them, we got no response. We also didn't get a response, as far as I can tell for now, from the Washington Post. All Taylor said was, I did not publish the private home address. Prove it. I have records. We have documents saying you did. I'm not going to show you the address, but I'll put it this way. In this image, Brooklyn, New York, 11206, I figured showing that what she posted was, look, I'll put it this way. The real estate license lists a contact address for the Libs of TikTok creator. The left is arguing that it's the work address. Okay, fine. At the very least, Taylor Lorenz doxed the work address of this individual. Still bad. And they're lying about it. However, for whatever reason, the address is actually listed in public record as the home. As I stated, there can be reasons for this. Now, if Taylor Lorenz would like to come out and issue a statement explaining how that's not the case, she's free to do so. For the time being, records indicate it's what she did. That's it. I have proof she did it. We have the article that she published. Prove otherwise, I'm willing to listen. It may be, as I've stated, that this address is old. I don't believe that to be the case, but I don't know for sure. The public records we looked up are based on tax records, not employment. So I want to be careful here because I don't want to dox anybody, but you can look up county tax records and find people's homes. Okay, we used to have the white pages, everyone's name and address and phone number was all listed. Looking up home records is different from looking up business records. And that's what we did. Taylor Lorenz, feel free to claim that this person has moved out since then and it's not reflected in the current tax record or whatever you want to say. Fine. But simply saying, no, I didn't, does not disprove that we have records saying you did. And at the very least, you may have doxed someone inadvertently and someone else may get hurt now. Case in point, a tweet I accidentally clicked on a little while ago, but here we have. Taylor Lorenz says, just want to make clear that this is Chaya Rychik on Instagram is not the Chaya behind Libs of TikTok. Chaya Musha is a common name. That's why I work so hard to confirm that I reported on the correct one. The Chaya behind Libs of TikTok does not have a personal IG or LinkedIn. How do you know? This poor woman, Taylor Lorenz, is so reckless and irresponsible that she caused collateral damage to innocent people. And sophists, like, people like Matt, by all means, Matt, get all the followers in the world because I mentioned doing this story. They don't care. Libs of TikTok, the story could have been done by Taylor Lorenz without saying the name, without linking to the person's work, at the very least, and home address. But she did it. And in doing so, this innocent woman living in London with her 2 kids with 22,000 followers is now assumed by many people to be Libs of TikTok. I mean, I got to be honest. When the story broke and I saw the name, this is who I found instantly. This person appears to have made fun of CNN, has a family. And then I was like, wow, 22,000 followers. Is this the person? Taylor is now saying it's not. So has this person been receiving death threats? I don't know. All I know is that Taylor did not care for the collateral damage that comes from doing her story because Taylor Lorenz's goal, in my opinion, was maximization of harm. Maximizing. Again, I don't want her family to be doxxed, but you know what happens now? Now she comes out and feigns the victim. This is a culture war. No one is playing by the rules. That's reality. Yeah, so her family was deleted. Her family was doxxed. Right, it's bad. You know what I can say about all this? Here's what ends up happening. Libs of TikTok popularity skyrockets after WaPo's failed dox and smear campaign. Guys, do you understand the goal of what Taylor Lorenz does? Her goal is to rally followers on her side. She's not exposing anything. Saying someone's name doesn't do anything. What ends up happening is that Taylor Lorenz does the story, attacks someone and innocent people, caring not for collateral damage. And then when people react negatively, she says, help, help, I'm being oppressed. She then gets more followers on her own. That's the name of the game. And again, I've defended Taylor in the past. At least she responded to a request for comment. I'll give her respect for that. But I believe Taylor's true motives here are purely amoral, hypocritical, and political. She goes on and on about how doxing is wrong. She published the private home address and then lied about it. I don't know how many times I got to say it. I'm just sick of the lies. I am absolutely sick of the lies. And these people on the left look you in the face and they just lie with smiles on their face. Matt, come on the show. And then I'm going to have you read the article. I'm going to have you read the article and explain how publishing the address wasn't doxing. And I'll show you the records. They already have the address. The address already been made public. I want to see him sit there with a straight face and tell everybody and lie. And just lie to their faces. This is why when we invite leftists on Timcast IRL, they won't come. I told Matt to email us to come on the show. Haven't gotten those emails yet. Look forward to it. Because I want you to iterate in front of 1 million+ people. She did not link to the address. And then as you're saying it, we will show the article she published linking to the address. And I'll let everyone else decide. I tweeted out, These blue check journalists defending the doxing of families' home addresses have opened a door they will regret. And Matt responded, the right has been doing this forever. Look at your own audience. Because the dude is incompetent. Matt, you're incompetent. You don't know anything about my audience. Our audience, this is funny. I go through our metrics. Primarily Chicago. Our biggest demographic are millennial dudes in Chicago. Well, our biggest demographic is millennials, mostly dudes, and the largest demographic comes from Chicago. Chicagoans are moderate. They are fairly independent. People in the Midwest, they are mostly independent. We've gone over all the polls before. They are not far right. They are relatively urban, but they are not far left. Makes sense. I'm from Chicago. People in Chicago share that view. No, the Trump supporters call me names and insult me. But Matt, if you did any research and actually if you actually looked into anything, like, bro, spend 2 seconds on patriots.win and see them calling me all of the slurs in the book, you'd realize that the audience who watches Timcast are like moderate libertarian types, lib center. But when you live in crackpot world where you don't do any research and you just push lies, and maybe that's it. Maybe he does know that, just lying. This is the purpose, to keep those who don't do the work in the dark for power. Evil. They're authoritarians. My goal, show you the data. I could sit here and just talk. People like David Pakman, for instance, he doesn't pull up sources for the most part. He just says things. A lot of these people do it. They don't actually pull up sources. They just say things. No, I make sure that every story I do is based on a source. And there's a reason why my picture is in this little box. Because I'm not going to do a video where it's just my face on video, because the left take those things out of context. They manipulate. Now what they'll do is they'll screen grab just a little box so they can cut out the fact that I'm reading from news sources that are all NewsGuard certified. Post Millennial gets an 82 out of 100. I mean, that's pretty good. The goal of the establishment left and people like Matt is to lie to you, to convince you you're the good guys when you are marching behind the fascists. The people who go around smashing windows and burning things down will lie to your face. Right-wingers have no idea what Taylor Lorenz published. They're just making things up based on outrage. No home addresses or phone numbers were shared by any reporter. Okay, here's the article once again. Here is the blue URL. There's actually 2 links. One goes to a phone number and a family address. It's all right there on archive.ph. Here it is, archive.ph/capital B, lowercase e, capital V, lowercase L-O. It may be capital I don't know. Maybe Bev-EO or Bevlo. If you take the Washington Post article and put it into archive.ph and look at not the first article, the second, because the first one was blocked by the paywall, you will see they did in fact link to the private address. And if you look down at the, actually, I think this is actually funny. I think Matt actually shows it. He actually shows it in his own tweet. This is fascinating. It says, when a reporter called the phone number registered to Rychik's real estate profile and libsoftiktok.us, it actually linked to the who.is information, which included the private phone number. And he has the nerve to tweet that out while then denying they did it. Because doing the screenshot, not actually showing the story, or by showing the stealth edited version, regular people will not be able to see that he's lying. Matt, you're a liar, or you're incompetent, but I think you're actually just a liar. I DM'd the dude and said, what are your thoughts on this? Because we have the proof that she doxed somebody. And he said, nuh-uh, it's an LLC address. Why are so many people there? And I'm like, dude, we have the public rights. Here you go, man. The best I can do without doxing. So what I showed earlier on with this proof image, on the left is a screen clip of the actual public records that we pulled. It's actually, I got it here off monitor, and it's several pages showing a ton of information about tax records and just private details. You do not get businesses listed as your home residence on these documents. Again, Taylor Lorenz can come out and say, no, it's not her home address because she's not there anymore. Sure. For the time being, the most up-to-date address that we have is the one you published. So maybe you forced this woman to flee her home, and now she's lying about it. I'm just sick of the lies, man. I'm sick of the lies. I'm sick of the manipulation. I'm sick of the dirty games. So good for the Babylon Bee. I don't, look, Libs of TikTok is an aggregator. I'm not entirely sure what the Babylon Bee will do with Libs of TikTok, because apparently people just send Libs of TikTok videos and then Libs posts them. It's just an aggregator. So I don't know why this is a story to any of these people. But I can tell you, I can tell you why it's a war. Taylor Lorenz, what she did was she collected information from Antifa, from activists, published it in a news story, framed as this is a bad thing, released private details, which is what we would refer to as stochastic terrorism. It's a reference to saying something like, oh, won't someone rid me of this priest? By Taylor Lorenz publishing a link to the person's address, they get fired, and the name of the company they work for, they get harassed and attacked and all of these things. Then they remove it and say, we never did it. They're literally coming out, the Washington Post, saying we did not do this. These are evil people. They're evil. Saying they did not do what they did. I think posting someone's name is bad. If someone is a private individual and you post their name, it's a bad thing. If you can tell the story without telling their name, you should. This goes for anybody. Some people have accused Jack Posobiec of doing it. No, I got no problem if that's the case. I don't know a whole lot about that story. Apparently it was a while ago. I said Taylor Lorenz should not have published the name. It was not serving any interest. But she also published the address. Anyway, look, the door's been open. It is not an excuse to say this information is all publicly available. It's not an excuse. Publicly available information doesn't mean easily accessible. So here we are. I'm just sick of it. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. I'm sorry. The next segment will be at youtube.com/TimCast at 4 p.m. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.